Hello everyone, Dr. Suneel, Dhand, medical doctor. Welcome to another video. Well, following the video I made last week regarding the disgusting, despicable reaction of many healthcare professionals to the tragic murder of Charlie Kirk, I wanted to share a story with you which I've been following very closely over the last couple of days, and I think that this story speaks volumes for where the medical establishment is and where, sadly, many extremist doctors are at. Sadly, way too many. Now, this happened in New Jersey, and it's obviously a very brave nurse who decided to stand up to someone who was obviously a doctor with extreme views when the news broke that Charlie Kirk had been shot and passed away. And this doctor, according to the story, said that Charlie Kirk, quote unquote, had it coming. There is apparently a legal process happening now, which I think is a good thing. Take a look at this. And again, I believe that this speaks volumes for where the medical establishment and the world of medicine is. So here we have the story widely reported. New Jersey nurse suspended without pay for calling out a doctor who cheered Charlie Kirk's death, according to a lawsuit. And here is what happened. A New Jersey surgeon allegedly cheered the assassination of conservative pundit Charlie Kirk, and a nurse who spoke out against the vile act claims she's been suspended for her objections. Well, that seems absolutely unbelievable that she would be the one who gets into trouble. Let's dive in further. Lexi Kunzel, I hope I said her name right, a nurse at Englewood Health, filed a lawsuit on Friday in a Superior County court against the hospital. And the doctor's name, Dr. Jung and others, claiming she was wrongly fired for calling out the doctor's vile act on her personal Instagram account. Kunzel had the audacity to question how Dr. Jung can comply with the Hippocratic Oaths and the American Medical Association's Code of Medical Ethics while celebrating the murder of a non-violent Christian speaker who was on a college campus. Well, I'm very glad that they mentioned the Hippocratic Oath there. You wouldn't think that a doctor who talks like that in public is following the Hippocratic Oath. I'm not sure about their mention of the American Medical Association's Code of Ethics, because I think the American Medical Association is completely unethical. They are absolutely terrible, but at least they did mention Hippocrates. So here's apparently what happened. Kunzel was in front of a nurse's station with 8 other nurses and a patient in a stretcher when the news of Kirk's death broke. "Oh my God, that's terrible. I love him," Kunzel said before Jung shot back. "I hate Charlie Kirk. He had it coming. He deserved it," the bariatric surgeon allegedly said. So this was a bariatric surgeon. I won't make any comment here about my thoughts on the specialty of bariatric surgery and whether or not it is ethical, including the financial incentives involved in performing these types of surgeries, better known as weight loss surgeries. Let's carry on with the story anyway. "You're a doctor. How could you say someone deserved to die?" she said. "It was mind-blowing to me," the 33-year-old Hoboken resident told the newspaper. "I was so angry and upset." She reported the incident immediately to management and then posted about it on social media when she got home. And you might be forgiven for thinking that the hospital management might be on her side, but let's see what happened. The following day, she was pulled into a meeting with hospital management and suspended without pay pending a probe, the nurse claimed. A union representative also suggested she start looking for another job. The doctor did offer to buy lunch for the nurses who heard his rant, but if Jung were to follow through on his mocking offer, it would not have included plaintiff because she had been suspended without pay, according to the lawsuit. Well, what an absolutely insane story, and my best of luck goes to Lexi. If this story is correct, she absolutely should not have been fired. Hospital management should have been having a word with the doctor instead. But this gets to 3 points here that I really want to expand on. Number one, it is the sheer number of extremist doctors in terms of their political views, what is better known as woke. I can tell you, as a doctor who has worked in many different places in the United States, I now stay well away from the academic centers. I would never, ever imagine they wouldn't have me now anyway, but I would never work in an academic medical center in the United States. I have seen how basically these are centers for people who are basically extreme in their ideology. We have seen this reflected in many different news stories different procedures, other hormonal therapies which have been pushed on youngsters. You all know what I'm talking about. But it is unbelievable to me how many doctors would share Dr. Jung's mindset there. I mean, who on earth, especially in healthcare, would want to wish harm, physical harm, on another human being, especially a human being who is doing the right thing, using their voice to engage in political discourse? And it just shows how far things have gone. And I don't know at what point the medical profession started to get taken over by these ideologues, but something very bad has happened over the last few decades, because it certainly wasn't like this a while back. And that is confirmed to me by many doctors who have way more experience than me. The medical profession has allowed this to happen, and it is now reflected in health policy. It is reflected in medical journals. It's even reflected in medical school entry requirements, a complete ideological political capture of the medical profession. So that's the first point that I would like to make, that I don't think that this doctor is alone by any stretch of the imagination. And we've seen that in many social media posts. Obviously, this was a more notable incident. Okay, number two. This is a deeper issue here that I would like everybody to reflect on. Any doctor who is capable of thinking like that, well, let's leave thoughts out of this because people can think whatever they want. But any doctor who is capable of making statements like that and doing so in a very brazen way, obviously thinking that they will be protected because they know the current climate in medicine and healthcare and the political atmosphere, and they can do so completely without shame, without fear of consequences. I mean, you would think that somebody who is smart enough, intelligent enough to go through medical school, to go through a residency training, a surgical residency, to be in practice, to have a medical license, would actually be much more careful about what they say while they are at work, but clearly not. And you have to ask the question, as has been alluded to on social media, because so many people in healthcare have been making inappropriate comments. How would these doctors, or whether they're any other healthcare profession, how would they treat their patients, who statistically, at least half of them anyway, will have a different point of view? Will they treat them differently? You have to ask the question. If they're capable of making statements like that in public, then this is a very valid concern. And finally, number three, I'm going to say this as somebody who sees the political situation now as being different from what it was a few years ago. We all remember what happened during the pandemic, the censorship, and obviously it was coming from the other side. And I remember at the time, I was really not in favor of cancel culture at all. I think cancel culture is absolutely terrible. So I will say that I have seen many people online, rightly, they've been shaming people who have said inappropriate things about Charlie Kirk right after the incident happened. But I think that calling out these people is enough if those people are allowed to apologize. I've seen a culture over the last few days where people are really calling for people's lives to be ruined. Fire them from their jobs, make them have to leave the profession, go after a business owner who said something inappropriate. My own opinion, to be quite frank, is that, of course, I find a lot of these social media posts and statements by people completely disgusting and distasteful, but I think people should be allowed to make an apology. And if they do make an apology and they regret what they said, they repent what they said, they realize that it's inappropriate, then I'm of the belief that they shouldn't have their lives ruined. And I will say this, if Dr. Jung makes a public statement, of course we all know what his political views are, but if he's genuinely sorry, maybe he faces a slight sanction. But I'm not in favor of some people now who say, oh, he should never be allowed to practice medicine again. His whole life should be ruined because he said something in the heat of the moment. And I don't think that a few words should ever ruin somebody's life. That is my own opinion because I've seen some of the behavior online almost like a mob. And I would be hypocritical as somebody who saw what happened a few years ago to say that I didn't like it then, but it's okay now to go after someone. So if somebody, whether it's Dr. Jung or anyone else, makes an inappropriate statement, did something wrong and distasteful, then they should be allowed to apologize. And if the apology is sincere, then move on. And to me, that's also the Christian way to look at things. If we're talking about Charlie Kirk and the ideals and values that he talked about in terms of Christian values, then surely isn't that the most Christian thing to do? When somebody apologizes and repents, move on. Don't go after them. Don't ruin their life. I don't like that cancel culture at all. Okay, everybody, thank you for watching. I will keep you posted if I hear anything else about Lexi's case. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. It has been a very turbulent week for the country. Thanks everybody for watching. Dr. Suneel Dhand. Check in the links down below for my website, all the other work I do, and if you're not already signed up for my free newsletter, why not? Please do so. Also check out our natural health and well-being store, ohiwellness.com if you're in the USA, North America, ohiwellness.co if you're in the UK, Europe. Hit the like button if you like this video, the subscribe button for more similar videos in the future, and we will speak again very soon.